in this section today, we're going to be talking about solving inequalities. Now, for solving inequalities, a lot of it goes hand in hand with solving equations, except for one key point. So the first thing we always do is we simplify each side. That means to get rid of the parentheses, get rid of fractions, get rid of decimals. Then we're going to use the addition property of inequalities and then the multiplication property of inequalities. Now, the addition property of inequalities, what it says is that we can add or subtract same values from both sides without changing the value of the solution. So here's an example of where we would use the addition property. We have x minus 7 is greater than or equal to negative 9. When we're solving for inequalities, it's just like equations except for one thing, and we want to solve for the variable. So that means I need to get rid of this 7, this negative 7, by adding 7, and I have x is greater than or equal to negative 2. So I never change anything when I add or subtract a number from either side of the inequality. It's just like an equation. You can kind of mentally pretend that that inequality sign is an equal sign. So moving on to multiplication property of inequalities. As long as you're multiplying or dividing by a positive number, the equation stays, the inequality stays the same direction. It's when we multiply or divide by a negative, we flip the direction of the inequality. Okay? So let me show you one. Let me erase this. Let me have some room. I'll bring this back in a second. Do you agree with me that 2 is less than or equal to 4? 2 is less than or equal to 4, correct? If I divide this by a negative 2 on both sides, on the left side I get a negative 1, and on this right side I get a negative 2. Do you agree? If we keep the same direction, is that true? That's not true. Negative 1 is not less than or equal to negative 2. You have to flip the direction. So when we divide by a negative, it could be negative 1, negative 5, negative 10, negative whatever. When you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative sign, you flip the direction of the inequality. So let's go back to those problems we had. Okay, we're back with these problems here. This is 4x is greater than or equal to 8, and we're going to solve for x. It's 4 times x, so we're going to divide by 4. X is greater than or equal to 2. I do not need to flip the direction here because we divided by a positive number. If you multiply or divide by a negative, it's the only time you flip the direction. That's the only time. So now over here, what am I going to divide by? I'm going to divide by a negative 3. So what happens to the inequality sign when I multiply or divide by a negative? We change the direction of the inequality sign. Okay. All right, go try those, and we'll be back with how to graph these and to write an interval notation and set builder notation.